behalf of SOPOLEC Business Advisory Services, World-Class Fitness and Corporate Office Solution, I would like to welcome you all to the Innovative Workplace, Increasing Flexibility and Responsiveness in the Modern Organization. The title is very nice, but what is really about? The main objective of the conference is to provide you with valuable information regarding the new trends in business and office design and suggest you practical solutions that you can implement in your organization starting with tomorrow so that you will make your organization more innovative and flexible. Our plan today is to take you from the macro to the micro view of this interesting subject. Therefore, Mrs. Magda Marcu of SOPOLEC will present what has changed in the globalized, highly interconnected world that requires businesses to change their mentality and their physical space to stimulate innovation and best enable the knowledge worker. In short, Magda Marcu will talk about the business case for change. We will then look at the response of architecture and interior design through the presentation of Mr. Vladimir Arsene, here present from Westford Architecture, and Mrs. Benedict Feltz from Steelcase, who came here from France to have the presentation. After that, the following three presentations will discuss some of the important details and trends that support innovation and help attract and retain innovative knowledge workers in an increasingly tight labor market and new rules that must be followed. Therefore, Dr. Ramona Apostol from Medicover will focus her presentation on the importance of ergonomics. After that, we will have a presentation regarding new workplace legislation. The presentation is presented by Mrs. Ruxandra Stoyan, representing HR Club, that will substitute today Mrs. Liliana Bolan, as we had previously in the announcements. The importance of health to the workplace and ways to ensure these employees have convenient access to the required health facilities will be presented by Ms. Michelle Dietrich of World-Class Fitness. Now I would like our first presenter to come and have her presentation.
Okay, so I will talk today about implementing solutions to provide the flexibility, speed and innovation that are necessitated by the global competition. And the key words here are flexibility, innovation and speed, and of course the global competition. The new phase of the globalization is already old news for all of us that globalization started several hundred years ago with countries going global for new territories trying to extend their empires. Later on, pretty much in the last century, companies went global. They were looking for new resources, they were looking for new labor, cheaper, so they opened operations all around the world. Especially the stronger the companies are and the bigger they were, the more offices around the world they opened. But the newest phase of the globalization will refer to the individuals going global, and this may come as a new idea to many of us. How do we think about an individual going global? Different aspects of the new global business environment are the technology, computers, internet, operating systems. These all determine the high investment in fiber optic cable, over $3 trillion all around the world, which it was a concept that was developed in 1967, and it referred to the fact that in the US, every person was linked to any other person in US by no more than 6 links, which means that between two people there were only 6 links. The research says that some of the retention issues have changed over the last 10-15 years. Before, companies like IBM, 20 years ago, more than half, or the average length of time for an IBM employee was about 16-20 years of time worked for IBM. Which space is better? The employees prefer closed space, of course, because they want their intimacy and they want to be able to concentrate, especially if you talk about design engineers and software engineers. They want to be able to close their door and be able to concentrate for a long period of time without interruption. Companies, on the other hand, they found out that they can decrease costs by having open space. You cram in as many people as you can in a very small space, much less space than you would use when if you have closed offices. But the meaningful questions are, first, since you cannot make everybody happy, and you have to find a balance, which is the right balance between the two of them? And the second meaningful question is, what do you mean by open space? Because just talking about open space in general, and if I ask you, do you like open space, it would be like I would ask you, do you like meat? It's hot dogs and it's filet mignon. What do you mean by meat? It's the same thing with the open space. So this brings us to our next slide. Let's talk about how many types of office spaces are there. We have the enclosed one-person space. Then there are the multiple persons office, where you cram in up to 10, 15 people, depending on how big the space is, that will work together in a closed office. The high panel cubicle. That was a really funny one because it came as an alternative to the closed office, and companies in US, and I think this is mostly a US model, thought they can save money but still offer the people the possibility to have their intimacy without the cost of the closed office. So that made people very unhappy because you would be enclosed and not have access to the other people, but on the other hand you would hear all the noise around that would not let you concentrate. So it didn't achieve any of the points that was built for. Andy Grove, he decided he himself will live in a high-level panel cubicle. I didn't know that. I read it in the news, and it was there. I was all against the high panel cubicles, me myself living in a closed office door. And I was like, what do you mean Andy Grove lives in a cubicle? How can he have all these conversations? And you know, he has a lot of confidential things he has to talk about with different people in the companies and meetings with his VPs and decide on the strategy of the company. And I have a friend who works for Intel, and I asked her, like, hey, did you know that they said in the newspaper Andy Grove has his own cubicle, a 8 by 9 in feet, 2.5 by 3 meters, I would say, this much. And it was one size fits all. All cubicles in Intel had the same size, including Andy Grove's. The perks about his cubicle was that it has an office window view, but that was about it. And she told me it was true. She said yes. I'm like, but he has to have an office of his own where he usually works, but he keeps the cubicle just for, you know, people to feel good about it. She's like, no, he works from the cubicle. His administrative assistant works next to him in another cubicle. And he goes in meetings rooms when he has official meetings with other teams of his members of his team. Low panel cubicles are the spaces that you cannot see over the panels if you sit down. Only if you do this a little bit you can see, but otherwise it's pretty much at the level where when you see it, it's just about around your eyes. The pod, it's an area, a cluster of more low-level low panel cubicles who are together in the same area for groups of people who work on the same topic or the same group or the same project. The ball pen, on the other hand, is an area that's very open with desks that are very flexible and can be moved around for people who work in the same, on the same project or have the same type of tasks. And they are separated from other areas with high paneled walls. Now, to be able to decide what type of office space we need to put into our office space, we have to consider what type of activities people do at work. We want to be able to choose for every type of activity a specific type of design that will fit that. So people do work individually and in groups, and they can work in informal meetings in groups, just talk to each other. They meet anywhere in the hallway, or if they work in cubicles next to each other. But they also have formal meetings when they set up a meeting for a particular time frame that has an agenda, that has specific people who are invited, and has to happen in a special space for that. They socialize. We should not underestimate the value of socializing in the workplace. And again, one of the most, a company that's very dear to my heart, because I have a lot of friends who work there, is Google. And Google, in order to help their people socialize, they give them food for free. They have a wonderful cafeteria, big, and they tell their people they can invite their friends for free to eat with them in the Google setting. So it's actually a smart decision, because if you leave the company to go outside and eat, you would waste a lot of time. When if you ask your friends to come and visit you at Google to eat for free, your friends would waste their time that would spend working otherwise in their companies. Aside from that, the entrance hallway is absolutely amazing. They have, it looks almost like a house when you enter in their hallway. They use technology, they store and access files, they do all the normal activities that all of us do every day when we go to work, right? They inspire and inform each other, and they provide guidance and feedback. And each of these activities will be best done and will have the most effectiveness if they are done in the right office design space setting. Communication and interaction are critical elements in the work process. If you have that, then the open space is what you are looking at. Open space improves, if you care about communication and collaboration, it improves your decision speed. It helps people communicate better and not have to wait until a formal meeting is happening and for them to be able to make a decision and move forward with a project. It encourages tacit learning. It's you watch your people, your fellows, your managers by the way they act, they react. You hear what they talk about and you learn. It's pretty much the way kids learn at home. You don't keep seminars with your kids to teach them about values and what's right and wrong. They just do by being around you. Concentration and working alone are the critical elements of your work process. At that point, you will have to have closed space. And you need to eliminate interruptions and distractions and the noise. In the open space, people say that actually interruptions are not as disturbing because people learn visual cues. You look around with your people and you know, oh, he's busy, I'm not going to interrupt him right now. And you learn everybody's style and you know if they'll get upset that you interrupt them or when is the best time to interrupt it, and that actually helps. A graph here that comes from research on this topic will show you that closed offices have less interactions per hour per person in closed offices versus and in high panel cubicle, and more as you go towards more open space. Pods, 4 to 6 people share closed office, and ball pens. Also, the other part of it is that the duration, the average duration of the interaction, it decreases because you can have different short interaction in the office with in the open space with all the people around you, many around during the day, but for a normal meeting it will take much more. So in a closed office, the duration of a meeting is longer, of an interaction is longer, and in an open space it's much shorter. So what else we need to consider when deciding on the office space? The age demographics, it's extremely important. Baby boomers, they are youth, they grow up in specific settings. It's hard for them to change right now. So be gentle with them. Talk about the advantages of it, and if they don't, they will be resistant. But they will have to see the advantages of having the open space. Generation Xers, but on the other hand, they are very flexible. They want to have status. It's important for them to understand what's going on. And Generation Yers, they live together with, they want to live with everybody else, they love the open space, they want to communicate more, they want to exchange information. They are the people who grow up with a computer, were born at the same time with a computer, and they don't know life without it. So agility will be important, the capability of your company to change as fast as possible in moments of crisis, in moments of opportunities that arise. Hiring, motivation, and retention. Ergonomics and general health of your employees are extremely important. The short-term and long-term costs. You will see, and studies have shown, that improving the knowledge workers' productivity will actually save you more money and bring more value to your company than any type of money you will put into redesign of the office space. So our recommendation is to attract and retain the high-quality staff through innovative office design. Also create the flexibility to support unpredictable organizational changes in staffing, structure, and teams. There are situations when you will have to adapt fast. Maybe, God forbid, you'll have layoffs, or you will have to hire very fast and you won't have time to buy another facility or rent. So create such flexible space that will allow all these last-minute changes. Also, the space will have to facilitate the rapid exchange of information, but at the same time also create sufficient opportunities to work without interruption and disruption. Support the development of social relations that build trust, because as I said, it's important for people to socialize and work and get to know their coworkers better, and that will increase trust in each other and will help them be more productive. Consider and prepare for cultural impact of office flexibility to eliminate resistance, and do this at as low of a cost as possible. And it will cost you much less in the long term. Thank you.